Hi everybody, this is Nick with the Pal Times again with Coach Gosek from the Oswego State men's ice hockey team, and we have another exciting and anticipated weekend ahead of us. Last weekend was whiteout weekend. This weekend we have some SUNYAC playoff action. Coach, last night was Potsdam versus Buffalo State. Buffalo State upset Potsdam, if you will. The 5th seed upset the 4th seed on the road. Your thoughts on, I'm sure you weren't out at that game, but your thoughts on Buffalo State coming out on top and now coming here on Saturday?
Well, they've been playing well of late. I mean, they had a good weekend leading up to Wednesday night's game with a tie with Geneseo and a win at Fredonia. So it sounds like they're playing the best hockey at the right time of year. And, you know, they've already been in, we call it that desperation mode last evening with their game at Potsdam, who, you know, they scored 6 goals against them, something that we weren't able to do. So this time of year, you know, it comes down to the same thing as, you know, minimizing your mistakes, getting good goaltending, and capitalizing on your special teams. So we're hoping that, you know, we can improve over last weekend and get some guys going and get some of our system-related things a little bit better in preparation for the game on Saturday night with them. But there's certainly, you know, we don't take anybody for granted or lightly, that's for sure.
And Coach, just to hop back a little bit, going back to the Potsdam game you mentioned, you guys obviously came out on the short end of that weekend. You got only 1 point. Granted, Flatbury's a great team. Potsdam played a good game, earned their win there. But just kind of to let people get into the mind of you as a coach, following that game, we came down here for our post-game interview, and you really weren't that upset, I would say. You seemed to have a good mindset of what you're going to say to the team. You weren't that angry about it. You thought your team played well. Just talk about a coach in that situation, what you said to your team and how you felt following that one.
Well, sometimes you let the outcome of the game, you know, determine everything, you know. And as we always say, sometimes if you really, were we great Saturday night? Of course not, right? There are many mistakes, many things. But as a coach, there's times where you get the 2 points, you get the W, but you're not pleased at all with your discipline, with your work ethic, with your execution, but you win.
Sure.
So we learned a long time ago, if you look, you know, we call it long-term greedy, if you just are looking, okay, what do we have to do? You know, were we that poor of a hockey team on Saturday night? If we were really that poor, then I'd be more upset. 1, we didn't, as coaches, haven't prepared. 2, for whatever reason, the focus and the execution and the effort and energy wasn't there. Now, was it outstanding Saturday night? No. But it's really hard to get upset with your team when you have a lot of grade A opportunities and you really limit their opportunities, and for the most part, you're disciplined. And for the most part, the guys worked extremely hard. There was no finger pointing or complaining or you know, there was no issues internally on the bench or in the locker room. Those are all positive things. It's a long season. People get edgy. People, you know, they're passionate about it, our team. So not getting upset, what good would it do to go in and rave and rant? The reality is it wasn't that kind of a game. And so for the people that have been following our program for a long period of time, you know, those games are very difficult. As a coach, we know that. We pull out every stop following big games. You know, it's just mentally and physically a letdown for the players. You wouldn't think so. They're not trying to do it on purpose, but to get them to compete at the same level, same intensity that they did on Friday night, with whiteout, packed house, first place on the line, it's anticlimactic. And we allowed Potsdam to hang around, so to speak. We got off to a good start. So some of those worries, you know, I think as a coaching staff, we felt like, okay, they are prepared. We got off to a good start. We had good energy. We made good plays. Had a chance to really put them away 3-0, maybe 4-0. We take a penalty late, and then they, you know, say lucky, but just, you know, they get the bounces. Goes off a shin pad, off a skate, bounces, and goes in the net with a few seconds to go when you've really controlled the whole first period. And now they got some life, and we've all seen it. So that's why you play the game. You know, they were opportunistic. They took advantage of their chances, and as the game stayed tighter, we squeezed our sticks a little bit tighter, tried to do a little bit too much, a little too fancy, and that's the outcome.
And Coach, now looking ahead again to this weekend's game against Buffalo State, you guys have a potential road. I don't want to look past that game, but potential road where you guys are not the number one seed going through now. What does that do for your team now? You guys have a young team, but you guys have that experience still from last year that you guys might not have that locked up home field advantage, if you will, throughout the playoffs, not as not the number one seed. Just going through your top 7 scorers last year, Galati was 1 with 36 points. Botten, Montagna, Gertzakis, Neal, Brevet, Holshaw. Those guys sound familiar because they're still on your team. So you guys have this experience. So what I'm getting at is, of course, this is playoff experience. What does that do for your team going into this weekend?
Well, those experiences, we always say, being able to have a long run in the playoffs allows you to have pressure situations and how to handle them and how to handle other teams, and all that experience, as we say, you put in the back here in your data bank, and you can always draw from it. And those experiences, I think, certainly help your team manage it when it occurs in a game. Last year, you know, there weren't those high expectations because we were such a young team. I think our guys had something to prove, and there wasn't a lot of external or internal pressure, so to speak, or expectations on them. This year, because of their success at the end of last season, the expectations were pretty high. And so that internal and external pressure that they put on themselves many times has a way of changing it, and not always changing it for the good. So the experience part, the expectations, the pressure, that's all part of it, you know, managing it, as we say. So we had some games this year, Carrier Dome game, 50th anniversary weekend. We've had some games this year, Pathfinder tournament, where there's a lot of distractions. There's similar to a playoff type atmosphere. So you hope that those games also serve to help you once you get into a situation like this Saturday.